the road again. We can't wait to get on the road again. Telling stories to our family and our friends. We can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. We can't wait to get on the road again. Telling stories to our friends. We can't wait to get on the road again.
Welcome to our monthly AAA podcast, Affinity, Allie, and Annette on the road to good storytelling, with your hosts, Allie Spooner and Annette Morey.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. I'm Allie Spooner, and I'd like to welcome and thank you for joining us today. With over 30 titles with Affinity, I'll claim to be a serial writer. I simply have a hard time saying goodbye to characters. I write primarily Southern-based stories, but in genres from paranormal to mystery intrigue. I hope you will enjoy our road trips and meet some new authors new to you.
And I'm Annette Morey, an author with Affinity Rainbow Publications like Allie and Karen, KB. I'm pretty sure I've settled into a brand that includes a quirky, unconventional style of writing, which undoubtedly gives my publisher fits. After 30 published novels, I still feel like I have a lot to learn from others, and I hope our guests will help illuminate me. I've been very fortunate to have a small but loyal reader base and surprising recognition for several of my novels.
Each month, we'll invite a special guest to join us as we discuss various topics of interest to writers and readers. We'll invite our guests to do a short reading and then follow with questions on the featured topic, while encouraging them to do at least one giveaway to our audience.
This month, we'll be talking about books and stories that don't fit neatly into one subgenre. We're calling them genre bending or genre fluid stories. And I did some research on this and found out that those are actually names that people have used, and it wasn't one that I just made up. Our special guest is KB Belmar, who has written a story that is tough to categorize. Being someone who also colors outside the lines, I can definitely appreciate a writer that defies writing the normal tropes. Books like KB's are much easier to remember because of their uniqueness.
Following our podcast, we'll upload to a newly created YouTube channel and hope you will consider subscribing so you never miss a future podcast.
Once again, our special guest today is KB Belmar. KB was born and raised in the St. Louis area of Missouri, but has also lived in the beautiful San Francisco Bay Area and in Austin, Texas, where she currently resides. She is the mother of 2 beautiful daughters and grandmother of 4. Growing up, KB only wanted to play softball and her trumpet. Never being a big reader, it wasn't until she got older that she started reading all the time, and all it took was the right genre to come along for her. She's the author of 2 books. One is a collection of poems and shorts, and the other a novella. KB dreams of living by the ocean and writing many more books for others to enjoy.
I like that. So, without further ado, you're on, KB. Take it away.
Okay. I get dressed and quietly open the door. Taking a step into the hallway, I wait. There's no sound coming from the couple's room, and I quietly continue out the door. The air has a bit of a chill to it, and the fog is lighter than usual. I walk towards the lightkeeper's house. Every once in a while, I stop to listen. I am now standing at the bottom of the wrought iron stairs. Looking up at the balcony, I find her standing by the rail, her white dress pressed to her front and her hair blowing in the breeze. She has not noticed me as she is looking out at the sea, perhaps looking for her lost husband. I turn to walk away, but I am held in place. I cannot move. It is as if I am paralyzed. I feel a presence behind me, but I cannot turn around to see. A hand reaches out from behind and delicate fingers caress my cheek. I suspect it is the woman. Her hands are now on my shoulders, and I am turned around to face her. My God, she is beautiful. Her wavy coal black hair flows behind her from the breeze, and her emerald green eyes are mesmerizing. She touches my face, tracing my features with her fingertips that cause a twitching inside my belly. I yearn to touch her too, but I still cannot move. She has me in a trance. Her fingers slide down my neck and she gently presses her hands to my chest. I have waited for you to come for so long, she quietly says. You are the one I have been searching for. I am confused as I has assumed she had been searching for her lost husband. How could she have known about me? Then I remember what the elderly couple said about the fates. We are destined to be together, I whisper. She smiles and says yes. After reaching down to take my hand, she guides me up the steps and into the house and through a darkened hall. The room she has taken me to is large and filled with beautiful furniture. This is her bedroom. I assume this is because in the center there is a king-size four-poster canopy bed with lots of pillows, which looks inviting. There's a fireplace with a nice fire burning, and the warmth is soothing to my bones. She comes to stand before me and begins to pull my clothes from my body. I stop her. It is okay, she whispers. I know. I look at her in surprise. She knows what? That I am a woman? But how? Have the fates told her? Only my family knows my secret. Or perhaps she knows I am still a virgin. Please let me undress you, she asks. I cannot allow this to happen. I have been taught by my parents and their church that I must be married before I may be intimate with another. I am hoping this will deter the determined woman from trying to unbutton my shirt as I try many times to halt the delicate fingers from succeeding. It does not matter that the church says because we are already committed to each other. You have entered my bedroom unescorted as a bachelor. The fates will insist that we consummate our commitment before you leave this room. I am surprised at what she is saying. I have never heard such blasphemy. I may not be a churchgoer as my parents are, but I must not go against what they tell me the church says and what my parents have taught me about intimacy. I do not even know her. I have been waiting for this moment to be with my future husband. She brings my head down and kisses me gently on the lips. I am surprised by her boldness and her soft lips. I look into her emerald eyes and become lost in them once again. I am torn between wanting to be with this woman who has captured me from the moment I first saw her and not being condemned for being intimate before I am married. I have always hoped of finding a woman who will love me, but what will happen when she finds a woman's body instead of a man's body under these clothes? I do not even know what to do to love another physically. The only thing I have done is kiss, and that was just now, and it was her kissing me. She has been married, so she has experience with intimacy, and I fear I will disappoint. I have never even kissed a woman. But you have, just now. No, you kissed me. She cups my face and asks, will you kiss me then? I am nervous. Reaching out with shaking hand, I caress her cheek with my fingertips. Her skin is soft, like silk. I bend down and kiss her lips. The tenderness of our lips pressed together has me feeling as though I may cry. She smiles at me and says, that was wonderful. And now you have kissed a woman, and I have kissed a man. But you have, I begin as I almost told her she has kissed a woman, but I catch myself and instead say, but you have kissed a man before as you have been married. I have been married, but the marriage was never consummated, and I refused to kiss him. I just would not allow it. May I ask why not? Because I was waiting for you. This woman and this island has my head spinning. I do not know what to think or what to expect each day as things are surely confusing. I think about what she has said, that she was waiting for me, but yet she has married another before me. Then why did you marry if you were waiting for me? It was what my parents insisted I do. I was at that age when we were expected to be married, and one day when the supply boat came, they caused Samuel, the boat operator, to step foot on this island. It was wrong of them to do so, as he was not destined to be here. They forced him to marry me and take over the lighthouse. Then one day, because I would not fulfill my wifely duties, Samuel got in one of my father's boats and started to go out to sea. But a sudden storm came up and wrecked the boat, killing him. That is a sad situation. I think about what she has said. It is frightening to me, wondering if the same thing will happen if I am to marry her too. I can see it in your eyes. You are troubled about something. I know you say the fates have destined us to be together, but I do not want to experience the same fate as your husband. You will not. But how do you know? What if your father does not approve of me? Although he is in charge of this island, it does not matter what he says. It is right because it is the fates who have rule over this part of our lives. Once you have come inside my bedroom, the commitment has been made. He cannot deny this from us. And once we have been intimate, he especially cannot deny us. How will he know I have come inside? And if we are to be intimate, I do not plan on letting him know that. He will surely do something to me then. You are full of questions, my love, she says with a smile. Do not worry, the fates will tell him. I smile at the endearment, and as I have never been called that by anyone besides my mother. I sit down hard on the bed, the soft, inviting bed. This is where we will consummate our love after we have been married. I look up at her beautiful face. Were you coming for me tonight? She sits down beside me and nods. He did stop me, but I told him to stop tempting the fates, or they will send him to the Isle of the Verduma. This is another island I have heard the name of, but do not know anything about. It is the island of the condemned, and there is no way of ever leaving that island. No wonder he was grumpy when he got back to his house, I say almost humorously. Did he confront you? She asked, with worry in her voice. I know she did not like that her parents made her marry the wrong person. She has said as much, but I am sure he also does not want her father to be condemned. No, I heard him go to his room and then overheard the conversation between him and your mother. She told him he could not keep you from falling in love and that you will eventually be with the one you love. I look at her hesitantly, as if I'm not sure it is I whom she loves, even though she has told me. She cups my face and says, It is you whom I love, and it is you whom I will marry. It is our destiny. But does love not take time to happen? For most it does, but I knew I loved you from the moment I saw you. She presses her soft lips to mine, then looks into my eyes. Are you saying you did not love me? From the moment I saw you, I whisper. I am only assuming to know what it feels like to be in love, as my parents have told me of the feelings I would get when it happens. But now, once again, this life has me confused. I have had some of those feelings my parents mentioned for 3 different women. The first one was my friend Catherine. Ah, Catherine. She had the darkest eyes I have ever seen on another person. Dark as a night they were, and her hair a shade lighter. I am sure she never had those feelings towards me, as she married our friend Benjamin, and they have 3 children. The second woman is the one who is to be my wife. From the moment I saw her on that balcony, I felt a pull that I had a hard time resisting. But now I do not have to resist. The third woman is one I should not worry about, as she is married with children. I am afraid she knows, though, as she looks at me in almost the same manner as my soon-to-be wife does. But she is one I must resist. Knowing that Jacob does not like me, he would surely do some harm to me if he knew I have those feelings when I see Elizabeth. My parents taught us to only have one love, and I shall. Since I have had certain feelings for all 3 women, does that mean I either have been or am I in love with them, or they just feelings? That is something I'm afraid I will never truly know.
All right. Thanks for a great reading, KB.
So, what made you decide to combine fantasy with a bit of mystery?
I think when I first decided to give these characters an extended life, I didn't want the usual girl meets girl, they fall in love and live happily ever after. I wanted it to be more special and meant to be something that they really had no control over.
The fates, yes.
Yeah.
Are these your go ahead. Are these your favorite subgenres to write in?
I've never really thought about a subgenre, really. I love to write about romance. So I've never really even thought about, I've never really thought about genre.
So, what do you think is the most challenging thing about writing these sort of genre bending or genre fluid books?
Well, to be honest, I have never even heard of genre bending or genre fluid before until now. So I had to look them up.
So they just come to you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you go about writing characters to fit into this unique combination of genres?
I think my characters actually form themselves. I sit down and I begin writing whatever comes to mind. And as I'm writing, a character may pop in my head and I begin adding them.
So not unlike Annette and I, you're a pantster versus a plotter.
I'm very much a pantster. Yes. I actually, when I wrote this one, I was writing two others at the same time. So I just sit down and just start typing.
Best way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. The only time I even do any kind of beforehand thing is I do describe my characters. I have a spreadsheet that I put them all in, and I do their ages, their height, their features, even full names, in case I use all of that in the story. And if not, at least I know what they look like, and the reader can imagine what they look like, if that makes sense.
God bless the writer spreadsheets.
Yeah, boy, I love spreadsheets. I don't know why I don't do that, because I'm constantly having problems with trying to change my manuscripts to fit what I've written before, versus changing eye color or calling somebody a different name or not remembering the last name. So I should do that. But it gets me closer to that plotter, and I'm just there's nothing about me that's a plotter.
Yeah. I can't plan ahead, because if I plan ahead, then it's going to be totally different than what I just planned,
Right.
And one thing I do though, other than the character thing, is if a scene pops into my head that's not where I'm currently at, I will write that scene and set it aside until I figure out where to put it.
Yep.
Yep.
I do that on occasion. Yep.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Was it hard to weave the romance into this story?
This was actually meant to be a romance before I turned it into more.
Mm.
So I like romance, and if something else comes out of it, that's great too.
So fade to black, doors wide open, or no intimacy at all?
I like intimacy in my stories.
So
If
doors
possible.
wide open?
Yeah. Sometimes I get a little bit too detailed. I have to kind of calm it down. Otherwise it becomes erotica.
I don't know. Some people love that though.
Yeah. I do have one that's like that right now. So
Yeah. How do you build the tension and pace your novel for optimal effect?
it just comes out as I write. I sometimes think that my mood also has an effect on it as I write. It depends on how I'm feeling at the time when I'm writing, of how it's, sometimes I also have to reread to make sure that what I'm wanting, it's hard to describe, I guess, because I'm a pantser, so I don't really, it's hard. It's hard to describe.
Right.
It just comes out, I guess.
So basically, you just write whatever the character tells you to write.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I put myself, I've told others, that when I write, I make myself the main character so that I know what I'm feeling, what that character should feel and everything, I make myself that main character.
Okay.
So almost like an actress taking on that. Yeah. That's
pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. So where did the idea for this story come from?
So, Beauty in the Night is also one of the shorts in my poetry book.
Oh, okay.
It's not to the exact, but 2 years ago, I started listening to like thunderstorms and soft jazz and classical music when I write, you know. And while listening to the classical music, I came across a playlist called Dark Academia. I love the music. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but
Huh.
it's some of it is just really beautiful classical music. Um, and because I had created short stories from playlists before using song titles in the order of the playlist, I decided to do the same with those. And with the song titles, I found that it seemed like I was writing poetry from another time because of it being classical,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I guess you could say a combination of that short and the playlist I had been creating was my inspiration to, I wanted to extend that short and I guess give those characters more life, even though it's not exactly the same as the short.
Cool.
It gave me the idea,
Yeah.
I guess.
The spark. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, how much research did you? The book seemed to be set in the 1800s. Was it difficult to get everything right to match the times, including dialogue and descriptions of the setting?
Well, I actually never thought of the story being set in a particular era when I first began writing it.
Mm.
I didn't even think about it being in first person until I did begin writing, and it just came naturally as if I was telling my own story. And as far as how they spoke, I guess you could say it just morphed into that, where it sounded in a way like a combination of formal language or what I would imagine how people spoke 100 to 200 years ago, kind of a more proper language instead of like, you know, I don't I don't put in don't or won't or can't. I do the do not, cannot, which I liked the way that sounded better.
So
I hope
yeah,
that makes
so if you
sense.
didn't have contractions, then it kind of had to be set in a time where the more formal language was prevalent,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes
And,
sense.
and I always, I mean, I don't do a lot of research, but I do check things, to make sure that it's proper for that, if
For that time, or
yeah,
something,
yeah,
if something didn't exist back then it would, yeah, those,
yeah,
yeah. Um, Fates, isn't that's Greek mythology, right? Is that a
yeah.
special interest of yours, Greek mythology?
Well, I've never been into Greek mythology unless you can consider me being a big Xena fan. But I think Xena is
Yeah.
probably what gave me the idea of the fates.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting takes on the fates, and I enjoy reading about Greek mythology and fates and all of that kind of stuff. It's interesting and memorable to me.
Yeah.
We've already discussed that you're a panster, and
Yeah.
I noticed in your bio that you were a softball and trumpet player. Have
Yeah.
you considered doing a sports themed story?
Yeah.
It's funny because I love softball, and I wish I could still play it. But I actually I've never thought of it.
They're
But
pretty popular. Sports
yeah,
sports themed books are pretty popular. Something
and
not
and
not
I
not
I
that
should.
Not that we should go chasing tropes, but if it's a special interest of yours and it's also a hot seller, hey, there you go, winning combination.
Yep.
So you have a poetry book out, right?
Yes.
And you have this book. What else? It seemed like that you said you had three out. So tell us about
Yeah.
the other two besides this book.
So the poetry book was published 11 years ago,
Oh, okay.
and it took me like 3 years to write that one. And that one came about when I met somebody online, and I actually fell in love with her, and I just started writing poetry. Never thought of myself as doing that, but I would have little pieces of paper everywhere and just be writing stuff, you know. And she found out about it. She loved it. Never met her. Wasn't even who she said she was.
Oh no!
But I got a book out of it.
But you got a book
Hey.
out of it.
There
Yeah.
you go.
And I called it Journey to Her Heart because everything in there is in order of when I wrote it.
Huh.
So I considered it a journey to her. So that's why I called it that. My other book came out last year was Serenity, Saved by Love. That one, that one took me 10 years to write.
Wow.
And that's because when I was writing my poetry, I had about 3 or 4 stories started at the same time. I used to write so much that I would fall asleep at my computer. But that was when I started, I think in 2011. And I had stopped because I had severe writer's block for several years. And a very good friend of mine passed away 4 years ago. And I actually dedicated that book to her. And I don't know if that triggered it of me going back to it and finishing it. I'm thinking that it did. So I ended up finishing that one. So that one does have a death in it. Not a death in it. The character is suffering from or grieving from losing her partner.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was somewhat easier to write that part because of my best friend passing away. So I was able to finish that book. So
it was kind of cathartic for you to finish it.
yeah.
Okay.
What's next for you? Do you have a book in the works right now?
I do. I have several I need to rewrite. I have one that is about it's called Mile High Love. I need to rewrite that one. And I've got several that I just constantly rewrite. You know, I have one that I think I rewrote 30 times. But someday it'll be out. But the next one I really would like to get out is Mile High Love. And that comes about from I was coming back from Puerto Rico a few years ago, and there was a flight attendant that just kind of caught my eye, and it inspired me to want to write that. So
Nice.
yeah.
Will it be a short or will it be a novella or?
I'm hoping it'll be a regular novel.
Okay.
Because I have about 128,000 words on that one right now.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
that's like an epic novel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
I need to rewrite it, so I'm sure it'll be shorter than that after I'm done.
it's like a Del Robertson book.
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of people do like the more shorter novels, you know, because who wants to sit there for, you know, that long to read a book when you can read a whole bunch of smaller that still give a good story.
And yeah, and you've got women that really enjoy a long story.
Yes,
and
there
they
are
will
some.
eat those up. Yeah.
And the other
Yeah.
option is to split it into 2 books.
Yeah.
People do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
2-part series.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts that or anything you want to share to the readers out there that you'd like them to know?
About me?
Yeah, about you, about any of your books, about anything.
I hope they enjoy my books. When I do write, I hope that people can relate to what I write. You know, that's kind of the way I felt with my poetry book, you know, that I hope that people who read it can relate to how the emotions and feelings that I had through each one of those. I did have an ex coworker who said that she had bought my book and her and her wife would sit and read different poems each night, and she said sometimes they would be crying at the end. So
That's probably one of the biggest compliments you can get.
yeah, that really made me feel good. So
yeah.
And KB, they can find you on Facebook, right?
Yes.
And you have an Amazon page, I'm sure, right?
I don't really know how to do all that stuff.
Okay. But you're on Amazon, and
I'm on Amazon, yeah.
Barnes and Noble, Smashwords. They can find
Yeah.
your books many different places. Spinny to Rainbow Publications. Do you have a Twitter or the new thing, Threads? Do you have any of those accounts? Instagram?
I have Instagram. I tried to put it on Instagram, but it would only give me like part of my book cover.
Okay.
So I got to figure out how to, you know,
apparently the new hot thing is Threads. I just joined the other day, and you can link your Instagram and Threads counts, and Threads is an alternative to Twitter. If you don't want to be on Twitter, but
yeah, I do have Twitter. I just don't get on it very much.
All right. But you post I've seen your posts on Facebook. So
yeah,
Facebook, right? Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
We appreciate you joining us today, and good luck with the books.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate what you guys are doing for me.
Don't forget, for readers out there, to check out our YouTube channel and subscribe. Next month, we'll be discussing spy thrillers. I don't know. I think Affinity is good about offering a free ebook. So for anybody who comments on the videos that we'll post to Facebook, et cetera, we will pull a name from those comments or questions, and you get KB's new book, Beauty in the Night. All right. Thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you.